If you can bring 5 items into a long-term survival situation in the woods, what would you bring? I'll go first. Generally, I would bring the 5 C's of survival. So it's a cutting tool, combustion device, cordage, container, and cover. But let me expand on that. And I also want your opinion on this. So let's start off with cutting tool. It could range from a full tang knife like this, an axe, or even a saw. But I'm kind of stuck between these 2 items right now. With a full tang knife like this, with a 90-degree spine, you can use it to process wood or strike a ferrocerium rod to get sparks. And being that it's full tang, it can take a beating, so you can baton wood. Because it's carbon, you can also strike it to get sparks as well. There's a lot of uses to a knife like this. But if it's a long-term survival situation, I feel like this might actually be a lot better because it's heavier. It's not going to break, that's for sure. And let's say the handle breaks though. You can replace this easily. Because this is bigger and heavier, you'll be able to take down trees and be able to build yourself a better shelter compared to like a knife like this, I suppose. So it's between these 2, but I feel like I would choose this. The second item is combustion device, meaning a lighter or a ferrocerium rod, matches, or anything else that could combust and create fire. A lighter would work very well, but you're very limited with the resource. The fuel is very limited. So I would go with a ferrocerium rod like this. This is 6 inches by a 1/2 inch. Take a striker or the spine of your knife or even the axe and scrape the metal here to create sparks to get a fire going. So that's combustion device. Number 3 is cordage. This is 550 7-strand paracord. Something like this would be able to be used to lash your shelter together. There's a wide variety of uses for paracord like this. You can remove the inner strands and make a net, or even use this to fish, make snares and traps, and a wide variety of other things. Because cordage is very hard to reproduce in nature from scratch. It's possible, but it's hard. Number 4 is container, but it's very specific. It has to be a metal container. A metal container like this here will work. You'll be able to cook food, purify water. You can also use this as a container to make char material to get your second fire going as well. But this would not be the one that I would bring. If I had a choice, I would bring something like this. This is a 10-inch anodized cast aluminum pot. I'm very specific that it's anodized aluminum. It's not bare aluminum. So this right here would be safe to use to cook food for long periods of time. You won't need to worry about like raw aluminum leaching into your food or anything. And it's very lightweight. And so a pot like this will be able to boil a lot more water, but then also be able to process fat from an animal or even cook a lot more food in a larger container like this. The lid could also be used in the fire to cook food as well, like a skillet or something. This could be hung over a fire, or you can even put it in a fire. Probably not for a very long period of time because it's aluminum. You may argue that because this is aluminum, it might not last as long. But to be honest, I'm not really sure. Maybe a cast iron version of this would be better. But I like it mainly because it's shallow like this. It's not very deep. I like it like this. And finally, the 5th item is cover. Cover is typically just the clothes that you have on, your shoes, socks, gloves, anything that covers you. But in this instance, cover would be like a tarp. And so I would bring a tarp, a waterproof tarp. I have between 2 sort of choices right now. I have a waterproof tarp like this that is reflective on one side. Something like this actually would be really valuable because this reflective material will reflect heat back to you, thus keeping you a lot warmer. But a tarp like this is only about 5 by 8 feet or something, I believe. So it's not that large. So you may run into some issues with this, but for the most part, this will do the job. But for a long-term survival situation, I'd probably get something like this. This is a heavy-duty canvas oiled tarp. You have really heavy-duty loops like this here, so you can stake it down into the ground or tie it off. This is a felt material that's warm, so you can use this as a blanket. But this side here is waterproof, so water will roll down this. It's a much larger tarp as well, so it'll cover a lot larger area to keep you safe. Yeah, those are my 5 items that I would bring along for a long-term survival situation. What would you bring?